On today's episode, I want to talk about that time there were two Germanys. Some of you may remember when the land of beer and pretzels was known as East and West land of beer and pretzels. In my time here, I have made some observations about that, so let's talk about it. Hello, Lieblings. I'm Mari, science fiction and fantasy author who's been living in southern Germany since 2014. So for those of you younger folks in the audience who aren't German, you probably weren't aware that Germany was split into two. Hell, I mean, I was 3 years old when the Berlin Wall fell, and I'm not really a spring chicken anymore, so kind of my roundabout way of saying it's been a hot minute. I do remember, though, when I was 7, they had two young ladies came to talk to my elementary school about their experiences. One was from former East Germany, while the other was from former West Germany. And it was my first experience with the country of Germany, period. I don't remember much of what they talked about, but I did find it interesting that Germany had been divided into two separate countries. Now, I need to make a quick note before I continue, because I had already gotten comments in previous videos, and I will get folks in the comments who will correct me on nomenclature of the two separate countries of Germany during this time. I live here, so I'm very well aware of it. On the one hand, you have Bundesrepublik Deutschland, or the Federal Republic of Germany, and DDR, Dance Revolution. Just kidding. Deutsche Demokratische Republik, or the German Democratic Republic. But we are speaking American English on this channel, and those names are a mouthful on a good day. So in the States, we refer to these two countries as East, this is West, and East Germany. West and East. However, since we were also referring to them in the past tense, they are now referred to as former West Germany and former East Germany. Also, I'm only talking about this from an observational standpoint. There is a great video from Feli from Germany that I will link in the description below, and who gives a more detailed overview of the history of the two countries and how different they were. And long story short, too long didn't watch. It is what you would expect, having one half being controlled by the British, French, and Americans, while the other half was being controlled by the former Soviet Union. If you do want an idea of what former East Germany was like, there is there's a whole genre of German films that touch on this subject. Films that I recommend, or TV shows as well. Das Leben der Anderen, Goodbye Lenin, Deutschland 83, and Sonnenallee. There are more, but these are the ones I have seen, and I personally recommend. Anyway, as I have mentioned before, I live in Germany, and I have observed that there's still a divide, for lack of a better word. I mean, these two halves existed from 1949 until 1990, and that's a big chunk of someone's lifetime. That's enough time for there to be cultural differences, and enough that whenever I used to talk about certain coworkers that came from former East Germany, my folks here in former West Germany would automatically say, oh yeah, totally an Aussie, referring to Ostdeutschland or East Germany. And I just found it interesting. It reminds me, in an abstract way, of the North and South in the U.S. And I say abstract, they're different countries. Just bear with me here, okay? For those of you who aren't aware of U.S. geography, I am from the great state of Indiana, which sits on the north side of the unofficial extension of the Mason-Dixon line, which separated the non-slave states from the slave states, or better known as North and South, respectively. Granted, the Confederacy only lasted 4 years compared to the two separate Germanys that existed for 41 years, and the Civil War ended 157 years ago, and yet there's still a cultural divide in the States. When I was younger, my parents and I would meet up with my sisters in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Side note, Germans, if you're looking for a great place to go to the beach in the States, don't go to Florida, go to Gulf Shores. It's a lot more isolated, so it's quieter, and it's awesome, but it is very much a southern state, and I remember feeling like a stranger in a foreign land, and technically I was still in the States, and it may have had to do with the fact that there was a Confederate flag everywhere in Alabama. Anyway, so personally, I have not been to any part of former East Germany aside from my trip to Berlin back in 2007. I did one of those bus tours and they pointed out the architectural differences between East and West Berlin, and I found that very fascinating. And that being said, I can imagine feeling a shift in Germany. I would love to know a German perspective who has been to both parts. Is there a shift or am I making stuff up? My point is, it shouldn't surprise me. When I'm around, especially folks my age and older here in Deutschland, there is a difference. Germans in my area of Germany will talk about former East Germany, and it's in a way that's not much different than us US Northerners talking about the South. And these conversations, for the most part, have this feeling, it's at least recognizing that there is a historical and cultural difference, but not so much others, or that these differences are inherently bad, if that makes sense. Or am I just talking out of my ass? I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to talk on this subject just because I found it interesting as a foreigner in Germany and how much I recognize that kind of similarity within my own country. I don't know. What about you? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up. It lets me and YouTube know that you like this kind of content and you want to see more. Please leave me a comment if you have any questions or if there's a certain topic you'd like to see on this channel. If you want more info on my books and newsletter, please check them out in the description below. And don't forget to connect with me on social media, whether it is through TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And that's it. Until next time, ade!